Hello, my name is Kay Dixon. I am one representation of a subculture that may be falling through the cracks of diversity. That subculture is adults with disabilities. The reason why we may be falling through the cracks of diversity is society has taught us that we can be seen but not heard. In other words, we can exist here on earth, but because of our limitations, we are not able to take care of ourselves. We must do what we are told to do. For example, we are told where to live, who to work for, or, or what educations we should pursue. In most cases, we are forced into institutions when our families do not want to take care of us. Those institutions leave us in disparity and lost. So, today I am raising a call of action to the government, to the independent living centers, to the state and local federal agencies to empower adults with disabilities through self advocacy. I urge you. But first, before I get into how self advocacy is an important aspect for adults with disabilities, let me start with some statistics on adults with disabilities as a whole. According to the CDC, 61 million adults in the U.S. live with a disability compared to 79% of those who live without one. Overall, that means that one third of adults with a disability live in the United States. The CDC also explains that a disability is a condition of the mind or body that makes it more difficult for a person to carry out everyday activities or to interact with the world around them. Some of these activities that can be affected is our ability to see, someone who is blind. It can be movement, someone who has a physical disability like me who uses the wheelchair. Someone who has a lack of an ability to communicate is a disability. Lastly, mental health is also considered a disability due to the fact that it affects a person's ability to be able to mentally take care of themselves every day. Now, because of these limitations, adults with disabilities need help from others to help them sustain their lives. However, that factor does not mean that we are not capable of being independent. So, where does self advocacy take place? Well, according to the Community Communications website, self advocacy helps individuals with disabilities to gain their own autonomy. It is important that we know what we want and what we are pursuing. Without autonomy, we are at a loss. Most importantly, the Independent Living Resource Center defines self advocacy as a way that a person speaks up and voice their thoughts, feelings, and their opinions. That is important because no one will not know what you need unless you express it. How does self advocacy help adults with disabilities? First, it teaches us self awareness. We need to know ourselves. We need to know our likes and dislikes. We need to know what is important to us and what is not. We need to know what we stand for and what matters to us. We need to know what we will put up with and what we won't put up with. We need to know that we matter in this world. Another reason how self advocacy helps adults with disabilities is it helps us to state our wants and needs. By stating our wants and needs, we are advocating that there are specific supports and things that we must use in order to be independent in our everyday lives. For example, I have cerebral palsy. Because of the fact that I have cerebral palsy, I use a wheelchair and I cannot walk. Not only that, not being able to walk also causes the limitation of being able to bathe myself, cook for myself, and dress myself. So I have to rely on others to help me achieve those things in order to sustain my life. If I don't ask for what I need, my aides will not know how to take care of me. It is important that I speak up, that anyone with a disability speak up for what they need. Why is self advocacy vital for adults with disabilities? Self advocacy is vital for adults with disabilities because it helps us to gain greater independence. It helps us to challenge not only ourselves but others so that others can understand that we matter as human beings. It also teaches us and others that we know what we want and we know where we want to go. Because of that factor, it can lead us to being more successful in the future, being more successful at getting a great job, living in a wonderful home, being wonderful mothers and fathers to our children. It is important that we remember that these things are essential to our lives as well. Some steps that help adults with disabilities to gain their independence. First and foremost, know your rights. Know the rules and regulations of your job, of your college, of your home where you live. Because if you don't, people are liable to take your rights from you, are liable to put you in situations that may not be helpful for you, or have you do things that you are not happy with. In other words, those individuals will be causing your rights to be oppressed. By learning self advocacy, you are preventing your rights from being oppressed. Number two, take responsibility for your actions, meaning when you make a decision, accept the consequences that come with it, whether they are good or bad. Learn from those consequences and grow. Not only is taking action good for making your own decisions and living with the consequences, but you are also respected for those behaviors when you take into account that it was your decision that was made and not anyone else's. That's vital. Lastly, please, I urge you, respect yourself as well as have respect for others. First, believe in yourself. Believe that you can achieve anything. Believe that you matter. Believe that you are searching for a better way to live your life, even though you are different. Believe that obstacles are only impossible if we let them be. But at the same time, as you are seeking those things out, take into account to remember to treat others with respect. Value them as human beings, just like you would want them to value you. Build a strong relationship with them. Everyone needs an anchor of connection to get through storms, to get through the happy times, just to be able to live. To be alone is sad and it is detrimental to our health. Comfort and knowing that someone cares is the most precious thing in the world that one can have in this world. With all that being said, I raise a call to action to the state and local governments, to the independent living centers, to everyone in the world. I urge you, general public, to please encourage self advocacy for adults with disabilities because it promotes inclusion, inclusion for adults with disabilities to be able to join in events, do things with their families, learn new things in the community, and learn who they are. I urge you to encourage inclusion and self advocacy for adults with disabilities because even though we have limitations, it doesn't mean that we always need someone to help us. I thank you all so much, and I hope you have a blessed day.